Hello, broadcasters. Welcome to episode 151 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige, and I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a good week. We have a feature to announce tonight, so that's always exciting. So stay tuned for that. For anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard. We do these town halls every single Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with you guys who do our very own show, like all of you do. Two is to answer any of your questions. So if there's anything you'd like us to touch on tonight, feel free to leave it in the chat, and we'll do our best to get to all of them. We love answering your questions and discussing them with you. And then I always mention our three pillars, which are ease of use, stability, and professional stream. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. I see people hanging out from all over the world, Nicaragua, Kentucky, very, very cool. It's always fun having you guys share where you're tuning in from. Before I forget, lots of exciting shows happening on StreamYard. So we have the StreamYard Spotlight the first Thursday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern with Dana and Kelsey hosting and featuring folks like you guys in your shows and how you're having success with live streaming. So feel free to reach out to Dana if you'd like to be featured, and definitely check out the shows if you're looking for inspiration and hearing about how others are leveraging live streaming. We have YouTube channel reviews with Dee and Daniel the second Saturday of every month. Really great show. Dee and Daniel are definitely pros when it comes to YouTube. You can get live feedback on your channel with things like titles, thumbnails, everything that has to do with your channel and its strategy. So definitely check that out. We have Enhance Your Live Streaming the last Tuesday of every month with Nick Nimmin, who's an awesome streaming pro. Lots of great advice when it comes to live streaming. So be sure to check that out. We have live stream reviews with Christian and Charles the first and third Saturday at noon PST. It's a fun, long live show on Saturdays where they just do live reviews of live streams, live on live. And then for anything else, we have open office hours with Julie and Mel at 11 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday, first and third week, and that's in the Facebook group, the Facebook community group. We've also been doing we've been doing fun facts every single week just to give us a chance to get to know you guys a little bit better and for you to learn something fun about us. And this week it was favorite superhero. Who's your favorite superhero, Dan?
Cool. So I think my favorite is probably Iron Man. I just love the engineer in me finds all the Iron Man. Well, mostly the movies. I was never really into the comics or anything like that, but I just love the character.
Yeah,
how about
absolutely. You? Yeah, I think Iron Man is probably the coolest engineer that's ever existed. I would imagine. Yes, for me, it's definitely Batman. As a kid, Batman was definitely my favorite. I think it was primarily the outfit. I thought the outfit was pretty cool. And I wore
not the voice.
The voice was cool too, but yeah, I definitely wore that Batman costume quite a bit. So Batman was definitely my favorite.
Cool.
We have a question from Marisa. Says, I'm trying to find ways to integrate ways to create more accessibility for my deaf and visually impaired clients and companies I work with. It's a great question, Marisa. I'd be curious what kinds of challenges you're currently facing with StreamYard, because we're always trying to improve accessibility. We do try to make things accessible as possible. Do you want to chat a bit about the existing accessibility stuff, Dan?
Cool. Yes, like I said, we definitely do everything we possibly can just to be accessible for everyone. If there are specific things that are causing you trouble, like that's the most useful thing. Like if you know for a fact that some of the people are having issues, like creating a broadcast or reading comments, or just anything you can let us know around what they're specifically having trouble with. We try to do basically as best we can, and like all of our engineers are sort of trained to be able to do that kind of stuff. But it's it's possible to miss stuff. So definitely appreciate
if you have any ideas, Marisa, definitely let us know. We'd love to see how we can support it.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of levels too. I find like we always try to do like at the very least the basics on every feature we ship, but then there's like all kinds of extra stuff in certain cases we can do. And if there's any like specific suggestions, that's really useful.
Karen says, I just upgraded when I'm live. I'd like to show images on the screen, samples of product pictures. Not sure how. We actually have a feature announcement tonight, Karen, that we'll get to in just a second here. That is actually would be one great way to do that. Another option is to simply upload them as overlays or share your screen. But yeah, excited to walk you guys through that announcement, which would be definitely another option. Enjoying the Spider-Man is definitely one of a clear contender, maybe even winner when it comes to superheroes.
Cool.
Sebastian says, "Oh, Geige and Dan, new features are awesome. Thanks, Sebastian. Loving the slide sharing and Pip. Any chance of making scheduled broadcast lists sortable for those who schedule many shows?" So yeah, we obviously haven't added that yet, Sebastian, but it is a relatively easy thing to add some sort of just quality of life features when it comes to the dashboard and making it easier to navigate. Definitely something that we'll likely add in the future, right, Dan?
Yep.
Cool. Jamel says favorite superheroes between Dan and Geige for giving us StreamYard. Appreciate that, Jamel. All right, should we go ahead and walk through the new feature, Dan?
Let's do it.
So, and that feature is the new slides feature. So I can tell in the chat many of you have already noticed it because it is live now, so you can actually access this feature as we speak. But one thing, we've wanted to add it for a really long time, just to make like screen sharing's a great feature, but if you only have one monitor, it can definitely be a bit challenging having to, tab in between things without and sort of losing focus on your audience. So we really wanted to make something that, especially for people that just have one monitor, but even if you have multiple monitors, just giving you a more streamlined experience so you can be more focused on, the guest, the show, and things like that. So this feature allows you to upload things like PowerPoints, PDFs, Google Slides. Do you want to walk through the details of it, Dan?
Cool. Yeah. Do you want me to screen share at the same time?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
So let's start with that. So shot a video just to kind of walk through it. So basically, I'm in the studio here, and then just at the share button at the bottom where you usually share a screen, you're just going to click on slide instead. So same place you're sharing a video, you can just share slides. It'll actually save some of the last ones you shared, but then you can also upload a new one, obviously. So here I've clicked on a slide. So it looks just like screen sharing. And in terms of how it adapts to layouts and everything, it's just like screen sharing. So you could do what Geige and I are doing now, where it kind of appears next to you. But then the coolest part, at least in my opinion, what I've always wanted to have from StreamYard is just the ability to click through slides and change slides on StreamYard. So, you can still see your comments, like everything is you're still focused on StreamYard, but you can click through them really easily. And then of course, there's the added benefit. Like if you have a guest that's sharing a slide deck or another team member, you can actually click through slides for them, which is really nice. So it just gives you more control as the host. So you can see I'm like clicking through the slide here. You can even just click the main area. So you can click the arrows at the bottom or just the main area on the slides, kind of like you might on PowerPoint or Google Slides to go through. You can choose a specific slide. See, there's like a little drop down. You can just choose, go directly to one slide. And then stability, I find, is the other part that's really nice, because with this feature, it's unlike screen sharing where if you have bad internet, like it can be kind of hard on your computer. With slide sharing, it's really just kind of the images of all the slides. So it's really, really performant and really nice on your computer. So that's a huge win as well. If your computer is not super fast, it'll be much, much better. It'll look super, like extremely clean, right? When you're screen sharing, if you're screen sharing a slide deck, sometimes the text can look a little ugly, especially if it's like really fine text, whereas this will look excellent no matter what, which is a huge win. So I guess this is just me sharing an actual slide deck now.
So no longer a video, yeah.
Yeah, no longer a video, and just clicking through it on StreamYard without ever having to leave the tab.
So yeah, this can give you a sense of, if you have great internet, it's not a major difference in terms of quality, but you probably still will notice it. But yeah, back to the question that came up earlier. This would be another great way if you were doing a sort of product demo with lots of images. You could totally just load up 100 images into Google Slides or PowerPoint, and then upload that into here and have a really nice, easy to navigate presentation on StreamYard itself. Yeah. Also, hopefully it's a good feature too to sort of it's one way that I'll definitely use it for events and things like that. When guests are nervous about how they're going to present their slides and making sure nothing goes wrong, this is a much easier thing for your guests to use as well, where it's like, just send me your slides, we'll upload them into StreamYard and just navigate it through there, versus them having to worry about figuring out how screen sharing works and not choosing the wrong tab. And
having the load on their computer, right? Maybe your guest is on a computer that is, it's 10 years old, not very powerful. Yeah, it's definitely much better, I think.
Cool.
And you can load up a bunch of them too, like with screen sharing, as some of you have mentioned before. You can only have one screen share loaded up because it is pretty hard on your computer. We limit it to one. You could have a bunch of slide decks. So if you have 3 different guests and they all have their own slide deck, you could put all 3 of them at the bottom, or like you could upload all 3 of them yourself. That's totally fine.
Cool. So yeah, it has been live for a bit. So if any of you had the chance to test it or have any feedback for us, definitely let us know. We just launched it, so we'll certainly be making improvements and iterating. So definitely let us know your thoughts. It sounds like Fong, probably pronouncing the name wrong. Fong Fanich, maybe. I tried the new slide sharing feature, but found some problems. When I downloaded the PowerPoint and try to show all fonts, it will not arrange correctly, but save as PowerPoint to PDF is okay. How can we use interactive slides, for example, clicking a link on PowerPoint when we can only use page by page? So right now, Fong, the feature is fairly static. Like it's mostly just for information that you're sharing that is not actually like clicking links or anything like that. We're going to be iterating and seeing how we can maybe add things like that in the future. But right now it's mostly just for images, text, and making that simple to share. In terms of fonts being arranged correctly, definitely if you reach out to support StreamYard.com/contact and actually send them the slide deck, we'd really appreciate it because they can look into what the cause of that might have been. So thanks for the feedback.
Like Geige said, we did just release it. So if there's like a few tiny tweaks we need to make, we definitely want to do that as soon as possible, especially with like different language support. We want to make sure we have that nailed in.
Absolutely. John says, will video record have an option to save locally on our hard drive as an alternative to going live onto your cloud? Last week, even though it was hardwired, the signal went down during the recording. Local recording is definitely something we're exploring. John, is definitely something we're interested in adding, partially for that reason, to make sure that you're not relying on the internet if it cuts out. If you're doing an interview with a guest, even local, might be a bit challenging unless they could sort of guess your questions. But it's something that we're actively exploring.
Yeah, mostly just to have the highest quality possible.
Yes. Mark says, any plan to add default layout? If you give me a bit more context there, Mark, we do plan on adding more types of layouts and themes and whatnot. But if you let me know what you mean by default, that'd be great. All right, let's see what else we have here. Superheroes are still coming in. Glad you're a fan.
Mostly Spider-Man?
Yeah, lots of Spider-Man. There's a few Batmans too.
Cool.
Awesome, David. Glad you're a fan. I do remember you way back mentioning that was one of your biggest things. So it took a bit of time, but super happy that it's finally available. Definitely, when you get a chance to try it, let us know what you think. Would be super curious.
Cool. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's definitely been one of the ones I've always wanted as well. Just personally, like as a user of StreamYard, I've always wanted to be able to do that.
Awesome, Larry. Glad that you're enjoying it. Pete sounds like was looking for duplicating previous streams. That is also being explored, Pete. And then noted, Michael. Definitely know that's on your list. A theme with the full page comment, something that we'll think about. Coilin says, I think there's an answer to a different question. Appreciate that. Cool. Sounds like most people are a fan. Hector says, can you mix slides with video feeds? So if you upload them separately, Hector, like say you have a slide deck and then you also have a video clip uploaded, you can totally be in the middle of your slide deck, cut to a video clip, go back to your slide deck, or even if you're locally sharing a video. But right now, slides are just sort of images and text. You can't have videos embedded in slide decks at this time, but in the future, who knows?
Yeah, something we're trying to explore just to see what different options we have. But yeah, basically static for now. No videos, no GIFs. But you can do, actually, we just did it as a good example, what Geige is saying, which is like going from a video to a slide deck. I think that's a nice way to kind of have the same effect. And then it also, in some ways, if the video is on the slide, it's going to be pretty small, especially if you're in a layout like the one we were in. It gets quite small. But if you can do a full screen video, that's kind of, for a lot of things, at least a nicer experience anyways.
Cool. David says this will be useful for displaying my wrestling event flyers. Awesome, David. Happy to hear that. Yeah, I think there's quite a few cool use cases. Things like flyers. I've seen some shows on like comic books where people walk through lots of like images there. There's all kinds of cool use cases, I think.
Yeah.
Sue says, tested the slide feature and there were issues with fonts. Are there specific fonts that are best to use? Similar to the other question that came up with fonts, Sue, if you could send the slide deck to support StreamYard.com/contact or just email contact@StreamYard.com would be super useful for us to get that resolved for you.
Yep.
Let's see. Dr. Mandana says, slideshare sounds great. Being able to change slides for guests is a real plus. Oftentimes guests don't have the required internet speed. Yeah, that's another great point. If your guest also has bad internet and is trying to screen share, it can be an additional thing. So hopefully that helps with that.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit. Like we kind of touched on it, I think, but it's probably important to emphasize. It's a massive benefit if you just have one monitor. Like it's still very useful if you have two. I've got 3 monitors here, and I still love the feature. But if you have one monitor, I find it's especially useful because with one monitor right now, you have to screen share and then go to that other tab or apps. Like if it's PowerPoint, you have to actually open up PowerPoint. You're not looking at StreamYard at all. That's where I find like the absolute biggest benefit comes from.
Mariano says, please another scene layout for single camera. I'd be curious, Mariano, is it just sort of like a border you'd like to see so you can see your background? If it's anything other than that, would be curious what it is and what you'd like to see for the layout. Yeah. Michael says now a hotkey to switch slides. Do we have a hotkey to switch slides?
Not yet, but hopefully coming soon.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking right and left arrows, but we'll see. Absolutely.
Matt says, if you have an embedded YouTube video on a PowerPoint, can you play those? So at this time, Matt, if you need to do something like that, you're going to have to default back just to the traditional screen sharing type thing. For this feature, it's just images and text. So stuff like an embedded YouTube video, you'd see the thumbnail of it, I think, but you wouldn't actually be able to play it. Similar questions about animations. Marcos, no animations at this time. Let's see. Colin says, any thoughts of including Canva or Prezi presentations as options? It's a cool suggestion, Colin. I'll have to check out. I've seen a bit from Canva. I haven't looked at Prezi's offering, but yeah, well, we can certainly explore that, especially if they're popular options for people to create decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like transitions and animations are definitely a common request. Good to know.
Yeah, makes sense.
Other questions about Vimeos or about videos? Can we anticipate them in the future? It's something we'll explore, Patrick, for sure. But right now, it's just the static stuff.
Yeah.
Tristan says slide feature. Do arrows always show as may need to allow for that in design? It's only when you hover you see the arrows, right, Dan?
If you hover anywhere on the slide deck itself, that's when the arrows will appear. Or right when you first add it, I think they're there as well.
And audience will never see it either, right, Dan?
Correct. That's right. Yeah.
Your viewers will only ever see the clean slide deck. The interface, the controls and stuff are just for your benefit.
Yep.
All right. Should we go ahead and do the giveaway where I find some while I find some other slides questions here, Dan?
Cool. Yep. Let's do it.
Sebastian says, any plans on being able to show comments feed on screen via the layout for those who want to show it off? For this, Sebastian, do you just mean like a permanent, like running feed of comments? Let me know if that's what you mean. If that's what you mean, we have thought about it. The main concern has always just been if you have inappropriate comments, those sort of being burned into the screen itself. But if that's not what you mean, let me know. All right. So for anyone who hasn't been to these before, it looks like quite a few are familiar with how it works already. But every Sunday we're doing giveaways. So tonight we'll give away that StreamYard pillow that Dan has in the back there. And we'll also give away, I'm wearing the old StreamYard sweater, but we'll give away the new one, which looks much nicer. If you just type in hashtag the yard in the chat, you'll be eligible to win. We'll give you guys like 15-20 seconds here to get those in.
Cool.
Pete says StreamYard video downloads are now super fast. Great work improving that feature. Awesome. Super happy to hear that. Cool. Pete, appreciate the feedback there. I'm curious, Pete, are you using are you just using the downloads, or are you also using like the embedding or playback feature? Be curious. Sebastian says ability to drag and adjust width of speaker windows and slides side by side would be super cool. So yeah, any thoughts on that one, Dan?
Yeah, definitely something I've considered.
Do you mean do you think he means like changing like which box the slides are in, or just the overall?
Not necessarily. My thought is like just make us a little bit bigger and the slides a little bit smaller. That's my thought. Let us know, Sebastian. But just like small controls of layouts without the ability to kind of customize the whole thing. Yeah, I'm open to it. It's definitely something we think about quite a bit, is how do we keep it extremely easy still, but give you a bit more control over the layouts. So yeah, work in progress.
Ruben says, question, slides from Google, are you going to be able to hook it up, or do you need to download and upload them to be able to use them? So we actually do have a direct integration with slides, right, Dan?
That's correct. Yeah. So when you go to upload a slide deck, you can either upload from your computer, which is basically PowerPoint or PDF, or you can just click on the Google slide button, and then it'll just take you through a connection process similar to when you connect YouTube on StreamYard, and then you just choose the slide deck directly from Google Slides.
Purgatory Paranormal of New York says, would love to be able to see our background when just streaming alone. Appreciate that, Purgatory. I think that was similar to the feedback around the solo layout, but before, something we're definitely exploring until we do address that. One thing you can, maybe you already know, but you could do is use an overlay instead to sort of recreate it, but we are exploring that.
Yeah, we know it's definitely not ideal. Cool. Shall we do this?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
All right. Good luck, everyone. Remember, it stops faster now.
Yeah, less waiting. Brian, thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I've definitely seen you watch many times. So yeah, congrats. And if you reach out to Dana, if you just email contact@streamyard.com, she can grab your information and make sure your pillow and StreamYard sweater get shipped and get your size and stuff like that. Awesome.
Sweet. Congrats, Brian.
Kadiri says, if I'm using the free version, for how long will the version be free? So we'll always have a free version of StreamYard, Kadiri, and slides are available on the free version as well, right, Dan? Yep. So yeah, there'll always be a free version of StreamYard. Michael says, please demo a PDF as a presentation. How does that work? So we did briefly show it earlier, Michael. So if I just add it to screen here, this actually
was a PDF. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like you can in PowerPoint or slides, you can always export as a PDF and just upload that. But it works very similar to a normal slide deck. How does it work, Dan? If it's what if you uploaded like a PDF that was formatted not as a slide deck? Is it just like more
like a weird aspect ratio, like square?
Yeah, like square or
it'll be similar to screen sharing, where basically if it's a square screen share, it just kind of like fills it just fills as much space as it possibly can, so it always tries to look good. Obviously, if you upload something that's super thin and tall, it'll look kind of weird no matter what. But yeah, we try to fill as much space as possible.
Joe says, what about a way to allow guests to click to advance their slides? So they actually can with this feature, Joe. You can advance it for them, or they can click it themselves.
Yeah, it's similar to some of the other features where, like, if you're a guest, you can turn your own mic on and off, but the host can also mute your mic if they need to. Similar to
that. Ray says, tried it out last night. It was awesome. Only thing I would like is a side panel off screen.
Interesting.
Cool. That's good to know. I'd be curious. Do you understand what a side panel would look like, Dan?
Yeah, I'm guessing you're talking specifically about this, like a panel for slide sharing. You can kind of do that. I'd be curious why you want it off screen, but at the bottom, you can actually control it there as well. So all of the controls you have on screen are also below on like the video, like the little tile at the bottom. So there's arrows there as well. If you want to click them there, they're a little smaller, which is why, like, personally, I just like to click them on the screen. But yeah, very curious why you'd want them there, or why you'd want them off the screen.
Alex says, I talk about local news in Puerto Rico and post-veteran therapy and stories. Awesome, Alex. Thanks for sharing that.
Cool.
Tony says, when can we have an option for 8 megabit per second upload if we have internet that can handle it? So do you mean, assuming you mean like uploading
camera?
Oh, like sending 8 megabits per second?
I would guess so, because that's like high quality 1080p.
Gotcha. So stay tuned, Tony. We don't have any specific dates for it. We do try to optimize just for like keeping in mind like what your guest has to receive as well, because anything you send the guests in the broadcast have to receive it as well. But we are considering giving folks more control and options around those types of things.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if there's any final questions. We did actually have a few things we didn't get to tonight. So before we run out of time here, we do have a cool showcase coming up very, very soon. It's the showcase for live selling and e-commerce. So if any of you do live selling, should be a fun one to attend. I'd be curious if you do, let us know in the chat. I'd be curious what type of stuff you sell. I think I have a image for it here. So if you just go to StreamYard.com/SY showcase, you can get the details and RSVP to make sure you get the reminder, but should be a fun event.
Sweet.
And then another question we had, I'll have to be pretty quick, but it was around background noise removal. So StreamYard does have some basic background noise removal that kind of always runs in the background. I was just curious how interesting of a feature or desirable of a feature it would be if things like if you're in a really noisy airport or dogs were barking in the background. If we just had a more sophisticated version of background noise removal that was, I guess, just a better version of our current background noise removal, if that's something that would be appealing, or if it's the type of thing like I'm always broadcasting in a studio or not really ever in an airport. But maybe your guests would be. So just curious if that's something that would actually be useful.
Cool. Yeah, like have you ever had a broadcast where you wish either you or your guest could get rid of the background noise completely?
All right. Affinity says, would you consider having multiple screens ready to share versus just one at a time? Currently have multiple tabs ready, but it's clunky. So slides, you can upload multiple slides, but directly answering your question, for screen sharing, it is just one at a time. Now it is possible, and it's something we've considered, just haven't added it yet. Any other thoughts around that one, Dan?
I guess one follow-up question. I'm curious because I know a few people have asked for this one. Is it 2 screens or is it a bunch? Like, do you need significantly more than 2? Like, if we allowed 2 screens, would that solve it for you? It's just very hard on your computer, which is why we kind of limit it. But it's possible for us to do.
Thanks for clarifying, Pete. Appreciate that. Glad it's working well for you.
Cool.
All right. Just about out of time here. Let's see if we have time for one last question. Cool. This will be a fun one to show. Can you present slides as Pip? Yep, absolutely. I'll show you right now. So this is Dan and I in the Pip layout with the slide shares, or with the slides uploaded, and I can obviously navigate from slide to slide. All right. And with that said, let me cut back here. This was episode 151 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your holidays.
Cool. And some even more exciting things coming next week as well. See you, everyone.